We're back out in the wild. The sun is directly behind me, so I'm going to try not to, blind anybody. Bit of a cop-out video this time, but there were some things I forgot to say yesterday when talking about Lex Luthor. I see a lot of critiques, not a lot, but like a few pretty big critiques about Lex Luthor in Superman, James Gunn's Superman. And they're really annoying to me because they don't have any actual ground, but people are using it as a reason to discredit the character, and by extension to discredit James Gunn's writing ability. And I'm not like some hardcore James Gunn stan, but I think it's important that we're being fair. So just to be clear, Lex Luthor didn't shoot Superman during that interrogation. He didn't shoot Superman, not because he didn't want to, but because the government explicitly told him not to. There's a rabbit right here. Hold on. Hello, little bunny. Hi. Oh, shit. Dang, they are fat. Oh, fuck, what was I saying? Yeah, no, the reason why he didn't kill Superman wasn't because he's stupid and chose not to. It's because the government explicitly told him, hey, don't kill Superman. We don't know enough. We want you to question him so we can figure out what he knows and what he's capable of, so we get as much information as possible before we kill him. If we kill him. Because even then, they just don't know enough. So they explicitly told him, don't kill Superman. And he had to comply with that because, they're the U.S. government. And his goal here is not world domination. His goal here is simply to get rid of Superman and establish himself as a sort of savior of humanity. And he can't do that if he's working against the government. Second thing is, this was a critique I first saw from Critical Drinker's video about Superman. And that is how people think that just because Lex Luthor is capable of creating a pocket dimension, that this invalidates his motivation, and it doesn't. Not even a little bit, because the whole point of Lex Luthor's motivation to take down Superman is not. It's not that he wants to become powerful. It's that he wants to be recognized as powerful. He knows he's powerful. His whole core thing is his pride. He's more than aware that he is powerful. He can make a pocket dimension. I don't know the exact, but he's one of the richest, if not the richest guy on the planet. Incredibly intelligent, incredibly rich, incredibly powerful individual. His motivation is not to gain power, which he already has. His motivation is to be recognized as powerful by the public. And in his mind, that Superman is in the way of that. As long as the public loves Superman, they'll never love him. So that's what I'm saying. So the fact that he can make a pocket dimension doesn't invalidate anything. And I feel like that was pretty apparent. And that shouldn't ruin Lex Luthor's character. If you didn't like Lex Luthor, that's fine, that's on you. But don't say that he's not written well. He's written you could say he's written a bare minimum of complexity. And maybe that's a little harsh, but I'm not saying it's the most well-written character ever made. I'm just saying you have to be fair. You can't discredit the evidence you're given. You can't ignore things that have been blatantly given to you in the film and then use your own ignorance as an excuse to hate on this movie. Or to even lightly criticize the movie. That just pisses me off. There are plenty of things to criticize about Superman. I don't think Lex Luthor is one of them. Another thing, this was a lighter one. I saw this in Jeremy John's video. And just to be clear, I'm mentioning these YouTubers who are way bigger than me and who I watch, and I enjoy watching their videos, and I understand not everyone's going to agree with the way I view movies, and that is okay. This obviously isn't any sort of, I don't mean any hate towards any of the people I'm sort of calling out here. I'm just mentioning where I've seen these critiques. But Jeremy Johns, he mentions how when Lex Luthor's going into the Fortress of Solitude, and basically something basically explodes next to his head, and a piece of metal flies directly in front of his face, and he doesn't flinch. And Jeremy Johns points out, kind of nitpicky, and I think he understands it's a bit nitpicky, but for him it pulled him out of the experience. And I if that's how it was for him, there's no way to reason with that, you know, and it's not his fault. But for me, it didn't do that, because Lex Luthor, again, I think it boils down to his character. Now, the critique is that, like, a human being couldn't possibly, like, suppress the urge to flinch. I don't know. I think Lex Luthor is established enough as a very smart person, but also a person who's very in control of himself. Certainly a very emotionally charged character, for sure. But he prides himself on his intelligence. He prides himself on the amount of control he has in any given room he walks into. So I think, like, the amount of faith that he has in the mutants that he's created, and in... There's this nice golf course on my path here. It's always pretty to look at. But not great for the environment, but, like, can't deny it's pretty to look at. Shoot, what was I saying? Lex Luthor is enough of a sociopath, basically, and has enough, like, an unnatural amount of confidence in himself, and in his own, like, capabilities, that I could believe that he wouldn't flinch if something exploded next to his head when he's the one doing the attacking. Like, he's so confident that he's invincible and nothing can touch him. He's not an idiot. He's not going to do something crazy with that sort of confidence, but he carries himself with that sort of confidence that I think it makes sense he wouldn't flinch. Is that it? Is that all I want to talk about? And again, this isn't to say that Superman as a movie is perfect. I think James Gunn knows it's not, you know, and that's okay. But again, like, Lex Luthor is not the weak point of the film. At least the character himself is not the weak point of the film. Oh yeah, the other thing was the monkeys. When I first saw the monkeys, my initial issue with the monkeys in the Pocket Universe was that it implied that human beings are not capable of being shitty to each other on the internet, and that the only way that anybody could possibly be hating on Superman in this world is if the villain was intentionally pumping that sort of vibe out. But then I kind of thought about it again, and I realized that he wasn't doing all of the hate. All he was doing was starting the hate, riling up the hate, you know, because it would make sense that a lot of people, even after hearing about what Superman was allegedly sent to Earth to do, they'd still be, you know, there'd still be plenty of people who just wouldn't be able to believe it, and, you know, they wouldn't be as willing to let hope die. And so in order to kind of start, you know, crushing that general doubt in what Lex Luthor's trying to get them to believe, that he would go out of his way to begin a large amount of discourse and a large amount of online unrest towards Superman. And it does make sense as something he would do. It makes sense he'd cover all his bases. He'd be sure to cover Superman's image as well as work on taking him down, literally. I'm about to run out of minutes. I'm just going to stop talking now. Don't like, don't subscribe, but if you did watch this far, thank you. Yeah, my camera's about to run out of storage in a couple seconds here. I'll see you tomorrow.